Crikey. I bet you're all really ready for a nice long talk now, aren't you? Woo! I get to go last! I'll try and make it as brief as I can, so I'm just going to lose this whole first bit here and go straight in and say a little bit about grotesque burlesque, which is hardly a new term. I've been working under its banner for nigh on 10 years, and my esteemed colleague, Marissa Karneski, created the Grotesque Burlesque Review with the Dragon Ladies some years before that. In fact, in my research, I found Grotesque Burlesque is the name of a cello concerto in 1889, which is probably not the first usage, being that the words fit together so nicely. It's probably been used for quite a long time by lots and lots of people, but over the years it's become more and more in modern times an umbrella term for work that's created by women, generally by women. Obviously, I'm a woman, that's where my experience is, so I can't speak for men. There's no shortage of men's opinions in the world. You can listen to them whenever you like, but it's my turn. They all have very interesting things to say, but it's my go. So yes, women seeking to subvert feminine stereotypes by presenting shocking or disturbing images alongside more traditionally expected displays of female sexuality. I'm going to lose this whole bit here. No, it's just about books and stuff. I can read, but we'll lose that. Quite frankly, if working as a sideshow freak, stripper and performance artist for 15 years doesn't give me some kind of qualification to have an opinion on the pleasures of brutality, then please forgive my arrogance. That's a lot of full-time, in-depth research that books can only scrape the sordid surface of, believe me. So, anyway, I'm moving on. Over the years, a theme has emerged in my work, quite glaringly, of, what do I talk about? Who am I? Beauty and disgust of the bestial and the civilized, and why the more animal aspects of humanity. I'm sort of crouching it. There we are. Ooh, ooh. I'm supposed to be a professional and know how to work these things. Okay, so why the more animal aspects of humanity should be so viewed as disgusting. Which brings me to my subheading quite nicely: Beauty and her inner beast. Yes, so we are all animals, some more than others, and we are all in our own way beautiful, yes. However, I must say right now that I do not claim to be any great or universal beauty. The beauty, like pain, is subjective. There's no universal standard of beauty. Different attributes fall in and out of favour according to time and location. In fact, the only agreed commonality is that symmetry and a sort of average distribution and proportion of appendages is a favoured attribute, being as it indicates on some very instinctual, basic and animal level healthy breeding stock, whether you intend to breed or not. As it turns out, my parents' genes combined to produce a child of reasonable symmetry and average build. This is no great achievement. I can't claim any credit for it, but I have used it to my advantage in my work. In dealing with the duality of disgust and beauty, I have to find a way to present both of these things to my audience. And so I use costume and makeup, and of course the most important thing, attitude, to present some sort of idea or notion of beauty, an approximation, a symbol or representation. I don't really care if you fancy me or not, just so long as you understand the symbols I'm giving you for the purposes of my show. In much of my work, the audience is initially presented with some sort of approximation of beauty, a pristine one, and by the end of the show, you're left with a wild, dishevelled but sated animal. Thanks, darling. Oh. That was real vodka. Often covered in blood, either real or fake. Today, you've got the real thing, genuine claret. So, while I admit the reverse process would be a little bit more problematic to stage, I'm not really interested in that. I'm more concerned with the cathartic process of releasing the inner beast. Oh, there we are. That's me and my friend Yana. I didn't realise it was already up there. I just have a couple of pictures. I know I'm against the clock, but this is sort of example. We start like this, and we go to that. And we start like this, and we go to that. Or to that. Or that. Or that. It's Marissa Garneski on the left. Oh, crikey. We'll just leave it there. Okay, this is from my, this is hooks in my back. I swing around, I hang from those hooks, swing around, pick people up, throw champagne everywhere. It's jolly good fun, actually. So, moving on. I'd just like to say a little bit about the modern world that we live in, about how conveniences and appliances dissociate us from our physical selves. And our typical day is taken up with a lot of digital technology and virtual relationships, and we're more disconnected from our physical selves than ever before. The MTV CGI internet generation is often stunned when confronted with undeniably real and visceral live entertainment. The human body is a magnificent piece of apparatus. I should know I have studied several specimens at length and breadth, curves in between. Fascinating. It's more resilient and adaptable than we might think at first, and capable of fascinating feats. I don't like pain myself. However, I'm willing to accept a small amount of pain as a consequence for inspiring awe and wonder at the human body. Pain, like beauty, it's all in the mind. In the words of Fakir Lucifire, pain to me is intense sensation that you neither expect nor want. And by accepting that sensation as part of a process, it no longer carries the same negative connotations. It simply becomes an experience, an intense experience that's very quite interesting at times, trust me. Also, as a showwoman, I can assure you that the pain experienced on stage is inversely proportional to the number of people looking at you. Many of the acts I perform would hurt like Billy-O if I was off stage. However, audience adulation is a most effective analgesic. Not every grotesque act involves pain, at least when performed correctly. Accidents do happen. Some merely exploit taboos, some combine theatre and basic but often overlooked scientific principles to present and demonstrate acts that seem so implausible as to be superhuman or even supernatural, which of course has been exploited by Sufis, yogis and fakirs across the world to great effect. Their followers attributing them with divine association. I make no such claim. I do, however, retain the right to have a little bit of magic left by not explaining the methodology of any of my stunts, quite frankly. The revelation of that would be in direct opposition with my goal of inspiring wonder and self-inquiry. Crikey, it's quite terrifying being up here, actually, but you're all really paying attention. Anyway, where am I? Yes, this sense of wonder thrills the audience who vicariously triumph over adversity through the performer's journey. The Fire Eater's victory is on behalf of all mankind. The pincushion inspires hope that we may all have untapped reserves of self-control and resilience. I do work in the freak show, I promise. There I am. Woo! Sticking things through my face and jumping on broken glass. It's my lovely husband in the background, supporting me as always. So.
Thanks!
uptight world of regulations, conventions, tensions, and self-doubt, these outlandish displays are an escape and a cathartic release of energy for the onlooker. Moreover, as often happens with humans, the collective is validated by contrast to these specialised performers. As the crowd oohs and ahs and squirms in unison, their normality is confirmed while still hinting at the potential for individual distinction. And this is a very enchanting combination. Crikey. Do have quite a lot to say. So, I'm going to try and speed through it and say that the freak show has made an entire industry out of our insatiable curiosity for the taboo, the extreme, and the other. It's not for no reason that the freak show tent and the girl show were permanent neighbours on the midway. The freak show confronts our mortality, and the girl show feeds our libido. The two strongest motivators in the human psyche are sex and death, and these are very nice big juicy buttons to press with glee. Given that these are such universal themes, one would think that any one person was as well qualified to tackle them as another. So I find it very interesting how often I'm confronted with the statement, "But you're too pretty to do that." No, really. I know, I've already said about the subjectivity of beauty, and that's a load of nonsense. But it is interesting because maybe it's because these acts, wondrous as they are viewed as being unsavoury and degrading, and that the freak show and the carnival as being an escape from civilised society, that these grotesque burlesques are the undertakings of the outcasts and the desperate. It can be hard for some people to understand why you would choose voluntarily to align yourself with the other if you are capable of being accepted. Added to this is the continuing desire to value women according to their appearance. The more attractive the female, the more prized a catch to be displayed and protected. I'm talking about women, I said all that, about that, blah, blah, blah. However, this notion of physical appearance correlating to an innate worth extends beyond the gender. One only has to channel surf the television for a few moments to see evidence of the ongoing stereotype of the crippled villain and the beautiful innocent. I'd like to think that the people in this room would agree this is ridiculously simplistic. Obviously, this has been challenged over the years, famously by Todd Browning's Freaks in 1932, where the beautiful villain plots against the company of good-natured freaks. But groundbreaking as that was, today this even seems a little bit simplistic and clumsy and naive when compared to, for example, the current series on Channel 4, Cast-Offs, with Matt Fraser and some other fantastic actors, which explores the integration of physicality and personality in a much more complex and multi-layered way. However, the general mass of media is populated by beautiful heroes and heroines alongside scarred, lame, or otherwise deformed villains, all the way back to Cinderella and her ugly sisters. Furthermore, on the last page, don't worry. Furthermore, I suggest that it's a direct consequence of cultural programming that the view of women as the weaker sex results in audiences feeling more protective of female victims and feeling more distressed at seeing them in precarious situations. I'm all for challenging these antiquated views and responses, however well-intentioned they might be. I feel that women, like all humans, should take pride in their strength and celebrate their fortitude. So, where does femininity lie for me? Whilst I undoubtedly have a female mind, personally I feel very connected to my gender on a very physical level. Perhaps this comes from my years as a dancer, or perhaps it's just my hedonistic nature. My childhood was very androgynous. I was raised as a human rather than as a girl, because I didn't have any male role models around. And perhaps that's the very reason that post-puberty I found myself immersed in issues of sexuality and gender. Certainly the transformed, bleeding, wild, ecstatic and triumphant creature that ends my show, there we go, hanging from the hooks, so much fun, is certainly more female and primal to me than the confection of stockings and powder that first takes the stage. During my hook suspension, the piece of meat hanging from the hook, and dripping in diamonds, of course, it doesn't bemoan the objectification of women. The hook elevates me above these stereotypes. Do you see what I did there? Nice metaphor. Lifts me up. And as I shed these artificial trappings, I glory in the wondrous, jubilant, bloody flesh. The body is not a clumsy, archaic inconvenience in a digital age. Reminders of its complexity and its power are important for a balanced existence, just as it would be foolish to exist solely for the gratification of the flesh, and no concern for the mind or the society that nurtures it. And there we have it, ladies and gentlemen. I've got to the end, and you're all still here. Thank you very much.